meeting you is going to make me cry right now. I'm so proud.
On Education and the Committee on Higher Education and Technology. Today's date is February the 11th, 2 o'clock p.m. This is conference room 309. We have a couple of bills on the agenda today, but first, Vice Chair Capella for housekeeping.
In order to allow for as many people as possible to testify, there will be a 2-minute time limit per testifier. Please keep yourself muted and your video off while waiting to testify and after your testimony is complete. The Zoom chat function will allow you to chat with the technical staff only. Please use the chat only for technical issues. If you are disconnected unexpectedly, you may attempt to rejoin the meeting. If disconnected while presenting testimony, you may be allowed to continue if time permits. Please note the House is not responsible for any bad internet connections on the testifier's end. In the event of a catastrophic network failure, it may be necessary to reschedule the hearing or schedule a meeting for decision-making. In that case, an appropriate notice will be posted. Please refrain from any profanity or uncivil behavior. Such behavior may be grounds for removal from the hearing without the ability to rejoin. Back to you, Chair.
House Bill 1291, scholarships and special education students. First on our testifiers list we have is the University of Hawaii providing comments. Is the University of Hawaii here?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, Whitson chairs and Takayama and members of the committee. I am Hei Okimoto, Associate Vice President for Student Affairs for the University of Hawaii System. UH stands on the written testimony providing comment and I'm available to answer questions. Today, we also have Tamio Yadomori-Chen, who's the Interim Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs for the community colleges, as some of these refer to Hawaii Promise, which is with the community colleges. And she is representing Vice President Erica LaCroix, who wasn't able to join us today.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have individual testimony from Sean Witter, providing testimony and support. Mr. Whitwer.
Good afternoon.
Available?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Sean Whitwer, and I'm a special education math teacher, and I've taught at Farrington High School for 22 years. I support HB 1291. There's a massive achievement gap between students with and without disabilities in the DOE, as evidenced by their on-time graduation and college-going rates. According to the Special Education Task Force summative report, the on-time graduation rate for students with disabilities is 59% versus 86% for students without disabilities. The college-going rate is only 31% for students with disabilities versus 57% for students without disabilities. This is why I worked with my student, Nicole Dolabalo, and Representative Ohno to create HB 1291. HB 1291 will help to close the achievement gap by providing hope and equitable opportunities for scholarships at UH and the community colleges through the Hawaii Community College Promise Program, and I ask you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being here. Next, we have Waiwomi Pillar, not present. Next, we have Julie Ledgerwood.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Julie Ledgerwood, and I am the proud Vice Principal for Special Education at Farrington High School. Unfortunately, the statistics around students with disabilities can be discouraging. Our students with special needs often represent the population with the largest achievement gap and the lowest on-time graduation rates. Both of these factors greatly impact the college-going rates for students with disability, which is, as what was said, roughly 31% as compared to 55% for Hawaii graduates as a whole. However, all is not lost. At the school level, we are working diligently to close the achievement gap and increase on-time graduation rates through innovative programs and inclusive practices. We can actively change the trajectory for students with disabilities in part by enacting positive legislation such as House Bill 1291 that recognizes the hard work and achievement of students with special needs. I respectfully urge your support of this important legislation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have testimony from Janet Kim, providing testimony and support.
Aloha, members of the committee. My name is Janet Kim, and I'm a faculty member at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and previously served as an elementary special education teacher in our Hawaii public schools. I believe it is necessary to make a targeted and explicit effort in supporting students with disabilities towards pursuing higher education. For too long has there been stigma and misconceptions around students who qualify for special education services. We need to help create awareness in that some people learn differently or need additional support, and that these challenges and obstacles do not ultimately define their abilities and potential for their future. Take Amanda Gorman as the most recent example, an incredible poet who delivered her poem at the presidential inauguration. Gorman's love and devotion to poetry stemmed from having a speech impediment as a child and has been diagnosed with auditory processing disorder. HB1291 allows us to cultivate more students with disabilities right here in Hawaii, helping them to believe in themselves and giving them the motivation to stay the course and overcome whatever challenges and barriers they face early on. In the end, they need to know that they not only belong in higher education, but that their hard work and perseverance is recognized and rewarded. We hope this bill supports more students with disabilities to be able to afford and pursue higher education, which can then also help counter and destigmatize previous notions around special education and individuals with disabilities. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have testimony from Nicole Dolar-Bala, individual providing testimony and support.
Dear Chairman, my name is Nicole Delor-Bala, a senior at Farrington High School. In elementary, I felt like a failure for years. I was diagnosed with a learning disability, which is dysgraphia, dyslexia, and also my anxiety disorder. I have been in special education since I was 12. Although I once struggled with my reading comprehension, scoring in the first percentile, I will now be graduating summa cum laude at Farrington High School. Although I am graduating with honors, I will be the only one in my entire class in special education to reach this goal. In fact, only 51% of special education students in my school will graduate on time. This is a massive achievement gap between students in regular education and special education in our public schools. Not only will HB 1291 provide hope and financial assistance, it will also provide equal opportunity for special education students to access scholarship. I worked with my teachers and Representative Ohno to create HB 1291. It is important to me, and I hope it is important to you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dolar-Bala, for your articulate testimony. That's all I have on my testifiers list. Is there anyone else here wishing to provide testimony on HB 1291? We also have testimony from HSTA in support, testimony from Hartwell Leloy, providing testimony and support. We have several individuals, about a dozen, all providing testimony and support. Members, questions? Representative. Representative Gannigan.
Is the last speaker. Nicole, what's her?
Dolar-Bala.
Dollar what? Dolar-Bala. She there.
Hi, Representative.
Hi. More than a question, it's just an appreciation for you taking the time to come before us today and to share your story with us. It's really brave of you to do that. I do have one quick question though. How's it been going this last year?
Yes.
Like doing the remote learning and overcoming all the obstacles that you've had to. Why don't you just share with the committee your experience in the last year of remote learning and the kind of things that you've had to do to achieve this?
Yes, definitely. So quite a difficult time with distance learning. It was a lot of sort of adapting because I was very used to having tutoring after school, to having people that I could go to and finding resources. So by having to do things online, it was a bit difficult, and I did have to adjust quite a lot. I didn't have the resources that I wish I did, but I'm very, very grateful that I did have Mr. Where if I ever needed help, or my other teachers that did provide it after school during online. And now that we have gone back, I have really enjoyed it because it helped me not only academically but socially. I did previously say I had social anxiety, and it kind of really hindered me for a good time in my elementary years. And when I didn't have that social interaction, it really did make it hard for me to be emotionally stable. But I think by going back and when teachers would make it super engaging, it helped me learn a bit better. I do also tutor other special education students, and I think when I started to do that, I kind of found myself back again. And I also help them academically, because if I did notice that they are also struggling, because when you're doing things online, the instructions aren't always clear and you can't always ask questions. And sometimes I personally get kind of scared, kind of talking to everyone. So I think, during COVID, it did affect a lot, especially family and academic wise and emotional wise. And I had to learn. And I think that it's very important to really consider helping the special education students around, because it's a bit more difficult for them because they have to adapt way more when they were so used to going to school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Ohno.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Whitwer, Sean, good afternoon. Thanks for your testimony and all your hard work. You've done a wonderful job organizing some of these special education supporters.
Yes,
Can
sir.
can you quickly touch upon the difficulty for students in special education, or even students who once were in special education but have since exited, their difficulty in the next transition to post-secondary education?
Yes, sir. A number of years ago, when the principal asked me to return to special education from the regular education math department, I was faced with the reality of the educational gap with students in special education and regular education. And I posted on my board the graduation rates of our students at Farrington High School and the different achievement levels: cum laude, magna cum laude, summa, and valedictorian. And I told my students that historically 0% of the students graduate with honors. And I said, we're going to change that. And that was something I told my students 5 years ago. And I told the principal, Mr. Carganella, at our school, that I would like to make some changes and institute some policies to try to improve that. And I told him I'm going to try to graduate 5 students 4 years from now that'll be honor roll and be able to go to college one day. I didn't quite make my goal. I was able to help 3 students graduate with honors. I think COVID really made it difficult for that last one to make it, but 3 students graduated with honors. And then after they graduated, it kind of hit me, now what? And I realized that graduating with honors or doing well academically wasn't enough. And so Nicole, who you saw testify just a moment ago, who's just an amazing student. She's one of the most amazing students I've had in my class in 22 years. She was anxious about college and how am I gonna, I've worked so hard to raise. I told her 2.5 years ago, I want you to be the first summa cum laude special education student at Farrington High School. And I gave her the challenge. Can you get straight A's for 2.5 years? Can you get a 4.0 to do that? And she went out there and got straight A's. And she was very anxious about high school this year. And so I told Nicole that we're going to do whatever we can to help not only you get into college, but at the beginning of this year, I promised that we were going to find a way to get her through college. And then I realized, why can't we do this for everyone? Why can't we do this opportunity for all special education students? So it is very challenging. It is very challenging getting students to raise their academic achievement and then to be able to go on to the next level. I think it's one of the most biggest challenges you're going to find in the DOE today. At Farrington High School, we're going to have something like 30 valedictorians, and UH rewards the students that are valedictorians by allowing them to be applicable to the UH Scholars Program. But even more rare than valedictorians is a special education honor student. That is the rarest thing you'll find in our high schools today. And so what Nicole was able to accomplish this year and what a few of my other students accomplished last year was truly one of the rarest and most precious things that you will see in education today. So I know I hope I answered your question. I'm not quite sure if I veered off, Representative Ohno.
You've gone above and beyond so many of your responsibilities as a teacher. We appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and working with us to see this important change. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative. Members, any other questions?
Just,
Okay.
just.
Chair Takayama.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a question so much as a comment for both Sean and Nicole, and that is that I want to commend you for not only what you've done, but for coming up with this idea and translating it into legislation along with Representative Ohno. I think this is a tremendous step, and to make me especially proud, I'm a graduate of Farrington High School myself, although hard to believe it was before you started there, Sean. And I just wanted to thank you and Nicole for what you've done, and keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, any other questions? Okay, we are recessed for decision making. Recess. Thank you, members. Moving on to HB1291, scholarships for students. Members, on page 4, regarding the 10% set aside, I'm going to remove that language. We want to make sure that we have a better understanding as to how many students are going to take advantage of this opportunity. And we don't want to prescribe that percentage in statute right now. It's a great bill. We hope it continues. Besides that, technical non-substantive changes and effecting the date, July 1st, 2050. Questions, comments, concerns?
Comments, please, Chair.
Sure. Rep. Okimoto.
I just wanted to also agree with the comments and questions that were shared prior during the testimony section of our hearing. And I want to thank the introducers of this bill. Special education is near and dear to my heart because I came from this field prior to being in the legislature. But it's really inspiring to see teachers like Mr. Whitwer. I wish I was as successful as you have been in your career. And thank you, Nicole, for again being brave. I think this is a great opening to a discussion that needs to happen more in our state with the DOE. And I want to thank you guys again and thank Representative Ohno and those who introduced this bill. I think this is a great opportunity. And one of the things that we need to do to further the quality education of our students, but also take care of all the KPA in the school system. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Voting on House Bill 1291, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments, recognizing the excused absences of Representative Bellotti and Representative Gates. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Members, are there any reservations? Any noes? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Same recommendation for the Committee on Higher Education and Technology. Members not seeing any questions. Vice Chair, would you take the vote?
Members, Chair's recommendation is to pass HB 1291. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye, recognizing members here with those excused of Representative Gates and Representative Bellotti. Any reservations or nays? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are adjourned.
And again, Nicole, I know you went through so many challenges in elementary. I know you went through so many challenges in middle school and all that. And the journey for you at many times wasn't fun. But I hope this is some validation for everything you went through, Nicole. And I hope, again, none of this would have happened. I would have never have done anything. I wouldn't have even joined the Speducator project if it wasn't for you, Nicole. So everything that happened so far and everything that will happen, again, Nicole, it's because of the hard work you did and the light you brought, you know, into this world, and all the hard work you put in all those years and all those nights. And again, I hope this really means a lot to you, because again, this, you know, this is the biggest, you had the biggest part to play in all of this, Nicole. So again,
Thank you. I mean, it was difficult, but you know, if I could help the other students that's going through something similar, you know, just the hope part of everything, I think that's sort of where I like to look at it. Like, this is kind of like hope. And I mean, it's gonna be great no matter what. And I hope, you know, this does get passed. And if it does, you know, we can really impact the community. And I knew for so long that I wanted to help the community somehow. I just never thought it would have been this way.